I'm a local lad anyway. I'm only from about 15 minutes away from here in Drina, so grew up with Wexford youths on the doorstep, I suppose. Well, from 2007 anyway, from a fairly young age. So their success would have drawn me to the club initially, I suppose. Apart from that, got into coaching then at a fairly young age, about 18, and once I decided that's what I wanted to do, went to Waterford IT and studied sports coaching then for 4 years and kind of learned my trade there to an extent. Halfway through that, got the opportunity to go on internship on placement over to England, over to Norwich City. So again, that would have helped in my coaching pathway, I suppose, as well. Came back from there, finished off college for a year, and came straight into being involved with Wexford FC then. Started with the 15s with Billy Malloy and then moved up with him through the 17s and obviously 17s last year as well. And I suppose that's what's brought me to here.
It was kind of an up and down season for us last year, but there was kind of obviously a few injuries and stuff like that, which kind of maybe didn't help our season. But in general, what was your view on the season just gone?
It was a tough season. I think developmental wise, I think it was promising. It was positive. I suppose we got one big thing for us as an under-17 squad last year was to get players towards the first team, and we achieved that with Brodie Murphy getting some appearances. So that was one thing that was really positive for us. I suppose in terms of our camp, our team, with the under-17s, we had a few injuries, like you say, which made things difficult. They all tend to be in attacking areas as well, so I suppose you sign a squad of 20 and 6 or 7 of them are attackers, and if you've 3 or 4 of them missing at any one point in the season, it obviously limits your options. We had Rob Bulmer, who was our top scorer at first year under 17s, who broke his collarbone after the second game of the season and missed the rest of the season, so missed 22 league games. We had Brodie Murphy, who pulled up in the middle of the season and damaged the ligaments in his ankle. That took him out for 3 months as well. We had Brian Byrne, who was kind of with an ongoing back problem. So 3 senior attacking players that we missed for large parts of the season, which made things a little bit difficult, limited our options going forward. And then of course we can't forget about Tyler Dunphy, who just moved away halfway through the season as well. So our 4th attacking option moved over to England with his family. So a little bit difficult in that respect. At times we were a little bit scarce on the bench, only able to field 2 or 3, and maybe some under 15s had to come up as well, which was good for their development. But overall, inconsistent, I would say. Sometimes there was real promise, some really good performances against some of the top clubs, and other times we'd come out and we wouldn't show up and we wouldn't play to our level. And I think that's what it was. It was inconsistency really, rather than a lack of talent or a lack of ambition or a lack of motivation. I think it was just the inconsistency that probably prohibited us from finishing in the top 4 where we wanted to be. We were 5 or 6 points off that come the end of the season, and then a little bit unlucky then in the playoffs. What Billy's done for the club has been fantastic. He's been involved as a manager for the last 5 seasons here now. Obviously next season will be the first season he's not, and the club will miss him. Fantastic manager. I think for me, coming back from Norwich into this environment, he was a fantastic person to be around. And to be with him then for our year at 15s and our 2 years at 17s, I would have learned so much from him in terms of that man management, the level of organisation. I suppose that's what I'm learning now, is how much goes on off of the field. All the work that Billy used to do would allow me to focus on the team and on training and on coaching the lads properly, but it's only until you get into his position that you realise how much goes on away from the pitch, and how much organisation, how much talking to parents, how much planning goes into the season. So fantastic, all of that. There was never any detail that was missed. So a really good experience to work with him, and I think I wouldn't be the coach or I suppose manager next season that I would be without Billy.
Can you tell us a bit about the backup team that you have working with you this season?
Yeah, I think we're quite close to completing our backroom team now, my management team, so I'm quite happy with the people we've assembled. Coming in as assistant manager, we've got Sean Mulligan, who was up with Carlos McKenny last season, did a really good job at the 17, so it's great to have him on board with us. He's young like me, but he'll offer a lot of, I think, experience nonetheless, and a lot of good ideas. He'll really bring something new and fresh to the club, I think, and to us. Then we're going to add another another transfer from a League of Ireland club is Nick Walker. He was up with UCD 19s last year, so we're delighted to have him come down with us as well. He's going to primarily work with me in performance analysis and strength conditioning, but he'll also be a part of the coaching team. And again, he's he's on his UEFA A license with me. An experienced coach. He's worked in England, so another great person to have on board with us. I suppose the final two parts of that management team then are John Doyle, a local lad. He's had a lot of experience coaching Wexford League, coaching men's team in the Wexford League, so I think for him it would be a great experience to come into this environment and see how things are done a little bit differently. But for us, I think it'll also be useful to have his management skills and his experience of a slightly different level of football, I would say. And then just as our goalkeeping coach as well, just like with the 13s, Tom Murphy's going to come down, obviously involved with the first team, but he's going to come in with us and be our goalkeeping coach for the season. So a really, really good, positive squad, some great ideas in there, a young squad as well, which I think will help the players. And yeah, I think we can be very relatable for the players. That we're not too much older than them.
How has the prep gone so far for you?
Yeah, it's good. We started early, we wanted to start early and start to get players on board, and I suppose not be leaving to the last minute, not be fighting with our clubs for the best players and all that stuff. So we started off, middle of November, and before that we did a lot of scouting, going out and watching county team games, going out and watching club games, and we tried to get a good idea of the players that were around. I think we did a good job of that. We're quite close to having our squad together now. Just a few more positions need to be filled, but we're quite close, so we're happy with that. Recruitment is very, very important. Obviously, you have to sign the best 18 or the best 20 for the club. Not necessarily the best players, but the best individuals, the ones that will progress over the year. Sometimes that's a difficult thing to do, is predict that, but that's what we have to try and do, and I think we've done a good job of that. And thankfully, we're nearly there, and we're nearly at the pre-season period, which will be exciting.
Can you tell us a little about the extra commitment it takes from being here as a coach and now being here as one of the youngest managers in the league?
Yeah, it's a massive commitment. It's a commitment for coaches and managers and players the same, and for parents as well. Us and the 13s anyway, our plan is to go 3 nights a week this year. Obviously you've got your match at the weekend as well, so that's 4 contact days with us, and that's a big commitment for everyone. Like I say, for coaches, for managers, and for players and parents as well. For me, I suppose it's what I love doing, so I don't see it as a commitment as such. My mind is always on football anyway. It's always on my players and how we can make this better, how we can improve, how we can do more for them. So for me, I suppose it's not an issue for me, but the commitment shown by the players and the parents over the season is a hell of a lot. Especially the ones coming from far and wide. We're going to have guys coming down from Kilkenny and from Wicklow, from Kildare, and there's a lot of travelling involved. So, it says a lot about them, and it says a lot about their ambitions in football, that they're willing to do that, and they're willing to come down here to get the little bit maybe higher quality training and play with higher quality players. It says so much about them, and I think that it'll stand to them in the coming years and in their career.
How many guys from last year's 15 squad will be with you?
So only 2 players from last year's squad, which is Brandon Rossler and Conor Marr. So, well, first of all, it would be fantastic to have their experience, but I know both of them played a lot of minutes last season. They were quite important parts of Mark's team, so it's great to have them on board. But yeah, apart from that, it's pretty much a new build. There will be some guys coming up from our 13s team last year, and again, yes, they played League of Ireland for a year, but it's bringing it up a level again. So it's going to take some time for those guys to get used to it. And it's going to take some time for the guys who have never played League of Ireland, who haven't had that opportunity, because obviously the 13th League of Ireland was only brought in last season, and this current crop of under 15s coming in now would have just missed that by a year. So for a lot of the guys, it's their first opportunity to play League of Ireland, and it's going to take some time for those to get used to it as well. The level is higher, the intensity is a little bit higher, and I think they'll notice that. But we'll do our best in pre-season to make sure training sessions are match intensity, and we'll make sure we get enough high quality friendlies as well to make sure that they come the middle of March when the first game is on, that they're ready to go.
What are your personal goals for yourself as a manager, and your goals for the team that you will manage next season?
Yeah, well, I suppose personally it's going to be a year of learning for me anyway. It's It's not a position I've really held before, definitely not at this high level, so I think for me it's just to learn, to understand more about the role. It is something I want to do in the future, so it's a good first step for me, and I'm very excited to be involved with Wexford here at the 15s level. So yeah, for me it's going to be a year of learning and understanding and learning from the people around me, and I'll always be in Billy's ear, and I'm sure I'll always be in Mark Dorn's ear, Mark Ralph's ear, and James Quinn's ear, looking for advice throughout the season. And I suppose that's one of the great things about Wexford as well, is that no one's door is closed, or everyone's only a phone call away, and you can be sure they're going to answer and be there for you. It is, I think, like Mark said, a big family. Definitely in terms of the coaching staff, everyone helps each other out. So I'll definitely need to lean on them at stages this year. For a team, I think we're still at under 15 level. We're still in a developmental stage. So I think the very first thing as a manager I need to focus on is developing each individual player. And if each individual can improve across a broad range of areas, physically, tactically, technically, mentally, if we can improve them in all those areas, then I think the next objective then is to improve the team. So can we, improve individuals so that if they go on to 17s, then they're a better player themselves, but can we also improve the team to play the right way and to play in a Wexford way, so that again when 6 or 7 of those go to 17s or more, then they're able to slot straight into that as well. So I suppose those are 2 goals. I think results will come after that if we can put the right structures in place, if we can put the right pathway in place and deliver the right information. I think results will come, and I know the players we've got will make sure that results will be a big part of their motivation. But for us, it's not. It's to develop those guys. So I suppose those are the 2 main things. Definitely for clubs like us, I suppose, who aren't blessed with wads and wads of money to go out and to sign players, I think an underage structure is even more important. Can we develop players so that they're able to play not only at their age group, but in 3 or 4 years' time that they'll be able to play senior level League of Ireland? That has to be our goal, and I think that's the goal that we all work towards in the background, is getting those players, whether it's at 13s or 15s or 17s or 19s, ready to play League of Ireland senior in whatever amount of years it may be. And it is so important that is our main objective. Winning things is great, and it was fantastic to win a shield down here for Mark and last year's 15s, but I think even bigger than that is our ability to supply the first team with quality players, and I think you will see that over the next few years. I think we've had some strong 19s and 17s teams definitely this year coming, and in previous years we've had strong 17s and 15s, so I think you will see the hard work being done in the academy level. It will bear fruit on the first team pitch, I think. So that will be great for everyone around here as well. First of all, I have to thank Sean O'Shea for giving me the opportunity to manage the 15s this year. It takes someone who isn't afraid to make a difficult decision, I suppose, to maybe give someone as young as me the opportunity to manage. I know probably not a lot of clubs would have a 23-year-old in charge of a League of Ireland team. I am still quite young, and I accept that. So a massive thanks to Shawnee for having the faith in me and making that decision and giving me this role and allowing me to learn while I do it. But aside from Shawnee, I think the guys I mentioned already, the greater kind of network of coaches within the club are always hugely important for me, and will be as the season goes on. Billy and James and the 2 Marks, we all bounce off each other, and they've got a lot of vital information to give to me as a little bit more experienced managers than I am. So a massive thank you to all of those, and I'm sure their help will be needed as we go on. And then just very excited to start the season now, and really excited to start pre-season. As I mentioned earlier, recruitment is vital, but the thing I'm most excited about is getting in here on the 20th of January or 21st of January and getting the team in and getting ready to go, and working hard and making sure the team is ready to go in March. So very excited for that, and of course excited for the season to start, but there's a long way to go before then. There's a lot of work to do, so we'll make sure we do that and that we're ready.
Well, that's great, Jason. Thanks very much for speaking with us, and the very best of luck for you next season.
Thanks a million.